Hey everybody, this is your note packet for the entire unit for this week on scientific process. I'm going to quickly go through these with you and we'll get some notes taken. So first of all, when we talk about scientific process, we're going to be talking about how to design experiments. And in physics, we need to understand that when we collect data for these experiments, we'll be using a metric system or the metric system. And so just some common base units that you're going to see if we're measuring length would be the meter, temperature. Typically here in America, we use Fahrenheit, but in science, we use Celsius. Mass is grams, unlike weight. So mass and weight are different, and we'll be talking about this in further lessons. But mass will be calculated in grams and volume will be calculated in liters. Volume is the amount of space something takes up. And time is in seconds. Some prefixes that you might be used to seeing within this metric system are gigabyte or megabyte, and these you probably have heard of because of our cell phones. Now these are really big units of measurement, and so they don't get used that often in what we do. If you take a look at the things in purple right here and in teal, we typically use kilo, which means 1,000. So a kilogram is 1,000 grams. And then once again, here we have our grams, liters, and meters, which are our base unit. And we've seen centi and milli. So centi means 100th, and that's why there's 100 centimeters in a meter. And the one thing that you'll notice over here, and the one thing that's really cool about the meter system, is everything works off of a base 10. So everything is either 10 times larger, adding a 0 as you move up, or 10 times smaller, taking a 0 away. So it goes 1,000 to 100 to 10, and vice versa, 10 to 100 to 1,000. So adding zeros or taking them away. Here's a simple stair chart to convert within the metric system. And you'll notice how, once again, you add zeros when we are making things smaller because you need more of them, because inherently the deci, centi, and milli are a much smaller unit, where kilo is much bigger, so you need less of them. And so when you're moving left to create equalities within the system, you will take zeros away. When we're collecting data, we want to make sure that we're measuring precisely. And so you actually have to look at your device. And so we see down here that we have a meter stick, just like I showed you in class, and you have to figure out the scale or the gradation, meaning what do the little lines mean? What do the increments mean? Then you will take your device, you will read your instrument value, and then you will estimate out to the next number. And we'll talk about this a little bit more as we move into some examples below. So with measuring in physics, a lot of times if we're measuring distance or length, we're going to obviously be using some type of meter stick if we were in school. If you have a measuring device at home, once again, I ask that you have a measuring device that has centimeters, and this is so that we can stay within that metric system. Please remember that our US units, these are like feet, inches, and miles, and these are what we do not use in science. We only use metric. So you'll see here that this top meter stick is in centimeters, and then on the opposite side, we have the US system, which is inches. We always want to measure from 0. We want to use the correct side, and we really want to pay close attention to what, once again, each little line means. Okay, so let's practice here. If we were measuring right now where this arrow is landing, first we would start once again from 0. We would measure out and we would know that we've got 25, but what do these little lines mean? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 25.1, 25.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. So this mark is 25.5. Each increment goes up by 1. And I know this because if I keep counting, I have 25.6, 25.7, 25.8, 25.9, and then 26. So I'm going to read what I know. So I've got 25.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. So I know for sure I have 25.4, let's just call these centimeters. We don't really have a measurement here on the side there. But notice how the arrow drops down in between the two. So is it 25.4 or is it 25.5? Well, it's neither. We count to what we know, which is 25.4, and then we estimate where that arrow is landing. And so this is that estimated number. And so you can see if it's landing in between, I think it's, as I look at it, it's landing in between. So I'm going to call that 25.45. And that 5 is my estimated digit. Look at these 3 centimeter rulers here. Okay, so notice how we have a different amount of gradation on each, or scale, or little lines, right, that break everything up. So this one has 0 little lines, and it's basically telling us this is 0, this is 100, and so we can only estimate a whole number here, right? So, because I don't have any numbers, right, to know for sure. I know for sure 0 and 100. So my answer has to be a whole number. So I'm going to go with 20. I'm going to say that this is 20 centimeters here. All right, but now when I get to B, I actually get more gradation, I get more scale, I get more lines. All of these mean the same thing. So if I'm looking, I've got 10, 20, 30, so we go up by 10, so my scale is 10. And I'm going to read to what I know. So I start at 0, I read out to 20 because this is the last number that's listed. So that's what I know for sure. Now this blue line lands somewhere between 20 and 30. So I can only go to this 10 spot. I can't estimate out any more than that. So I'm going to say that this is 20. Let's go with 23. No, 22. I'm going to call it 22 centimeters. So notice how the 2, I'm going to bold it, is estimated. All right, that's what we call that estimated digit. All right, notice how I'm getting more precise as I move down the rulers, because as we move down, we get more little lines. Those little lines are super important. So here we have a whole bunch of little lines. What do they mean? I have to count them and figure it out. So I'm just going to count between the 10 and 20. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold on, I can't see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10. Perfect. Okay, so then when I look, what I want to do is I want to, whoops, not move the picture. Let me move that back real quick. There we go. So when I look at the picture, I see that I'm on 20, but I know that I have more gradation. So I can go, I know I have 21. Here I have 22. If I look really closely at that blue line, and if you were to blow this up on your screen, you would see that it's lying, it looks like, in between 22 and 23. So what do I know for sure? I know for sure that I have 22. Then I need to estimate one value more out to my 10th, because that line is landing in between. Now, if let's just say we're landing on the line, I could put 22.0, right? I could put 22.0, but it's somewhere in between. So I need to make that estimate show that, and I kind of feel like I'm going to go with 22.4. Now, this right here, this 4, is my estimate. Whoop, come on, you. I can do this. I can highlight it. Or not, or not. Okay, here we go. We're gonna make this easy. So the 4 is my estimate. I'll say that again. The 4 right there is my estimate. So when we are measuring, what we have to do is read what we know on our device, and then we measure the next digit out. Because think about measurement. When we measure things, they always land perfectly. And if they did, it would be a 0, right, on an actual line. but most of the time it's somewhere in between. And so our estimate tells that person that it's landing in between. So we need to measure precisely with our measuring sticks. Okay, so I actually did this backwards. I apologize, but notice how, right, the scales here, if we're doing by scales, right, the scale here would be 100, and I'm flipping these around. So that's 100 centimeters. So because it goes 0 to 100, the scale here, because my gradation is every 10, is 10 centimeters. And then last but not least is my letter C, and this goes up by 1 centimeter. All right. So those are the scales, and the scale tells us how many lines, what do the little lines mean, or what are the increments, right? What's the scale? Okay, during experiments, we're going to have variables. A variable in an experiment is just anything that can change. And so we have different types. The one that we need to be really concerned with is our independent variable. The independent variable is what changes, okay? It's what we manipulate. It's what we change. These are all synonyms, meaning the same word, but same meaning, different word. So here's an example. If we have or are testing to see how light affects a plant, just recently I started an AeroGarden with salad greens. I'll show you guys those when they grow. It's very exciting. Hopefully you have some plants in your garden at home. But if we're testing to see how light affects plant growth, our independent variable is how much light we give to that plant. And so with my AeroGarden, I actually have little I have marks that tell me what setting I should have it on if I'm making salad greens, if I'm making herbs. Um, and that light then intensity is going to vary depending on what plant it is. But just for, let's just say, a plant in my closet or a plant in my window that I wanted to grow, if I wanted an independent variable, I'd have to take it out of the window and I'd have to put it in an isolated area and vary the amount of light. And that would then be the independent variable. The thing with independent variables is you only want one. You don't want numerous, because if you have numerous, you don't know what affects the results. An example of this would be shampoo and conditioner. Let's just say you have curly hair like mine and you want to know what conditioner works the best. So you go out and you buy a new set of shampoo and conditioner. Well, if you have new shampoo and conditioner, both, do you know what affected your hair if for some reason it does become more curly? Was it the shampoo or was it the conditioner? You don't know. So you only want to bring in one new thing, and that one thing that you change would be the independent variable. The dependent variable is how we measure the independent variable's results. So typically we want the dependent variable to be a number because then it's really easy to look at the stats on it and what happened. Did it get higher? Did it get lower? Did it remain the same? The example from the above, if we're using how or the amount the plant grows in the light is the independent variable, and then we could actually measure the plant height. Maybe we measure the number of leaves. There's numerous ways to do the dependent variable, and you would just be picking one. All experiments other than our independent and our measurement, which is the dependent, um, we have to have controls. We want to control everything, every little thing. So in my plant experiment, I'd want the plant, if we had numerous plants to see what would happen, we'd want the same soil. We'd want to use the same light source. Even if we varied the amount of light, we'd still want to use the same light source. As far as maybe we're using 60-watt light bulbs or 20-watt light bulbs, maybe we're using the sun, right? We want to keep that the same. We want to keep the same amount of water. We want to make sure that they're staying around the same, we want to make sure they're staying the same temperature. So all these things that are kind of outside, we want to keep the same because once again, we only want one independent variable. That's it. So now